Suppose you had a field. Suppose you had a field, and you knew the dimensions of this field, and snow fell on this field, and covered the entire field with snow. You knew that the length, and the width. You knew you had so many square feet of snow. And as spring came on and the snow began to melt, a part of it melted slower than the rest. Maybe the edges in one corner of the field began to melt, and you estimated that you had 90% of the snow that was there originally, as far as the coverage, as far as the square foot coverage, regardless of depth. And then later you measured it or looked at it, and it was like 75, and then 60, and then 50, until it all melted away. You could plot those numbers. You could make a list of those numbers: 100, 90, 75, 60, 50, 40, 10, 0. And you could plot those numbers on a chart over time. Here's the amount of snow declining over time, and it would make a curve. It would make a curve. And then if it snowed again, snowed gradually and built up, you'd have a curve like this. You'd have a curve like this. Well, you could compress the time and lengthen the x-axis, so you have, instead of the curve, you got a zinc. You got a thing like this, and you can put several of them together, and you have a record of the snow accumulation on this field over time, year after year. That's what you're about to see. In this past year and the present year, 2014, that the ice is growing, as illustrated here. These are satellite images taken from space of the North Pole looking down on the ice. The ice is growing because the oceans have cooled and we're in for a spell of cooler weather. Tell your congressman to tell President Obama, do not make a treaty with the United Nations limiting our carbon emissions, further crippling our economy. Do not make a treaty with the United Nations to curb carbon emissions, because obviously there's no relation between human produced carbon dioxide and the temperature of the planet.